in any direction, and you will be... Yeah, we've had Muslims on my show many times. Guess what? I didn't like what they had to say. Okay? No, it's not my problem. It's my opinion. I don't like it. I didn't speak on your behalf. I talked about the Quran. Guess what? I wasn't there for the French Revolution. I can talk about it.
Everybody has a right.
3 intellectuals took the stage for a no-holds-barred discussion on free speech and campus culture at a not-so-recent conference in UMass Amherst. The session went on fine until some self-righteous Muslim hecklers stormed the mic with loaded questions that almost had Steven Crowder cornered but for his brilliance. What happens next is pure fireworks of interrupted grandstanding, brutal stats on Sharia attitudes, and savage shutdowns.
With a Bernie side. That's true. Go on Twitter. It's absolutely true. I don't know. I don't think leftists have an understanding of the First Amendment nor the Second Amendment. I was on Russia Today one time, and they were asking about the Second Amendment because you bring that up. And I said, well, why is the Second Amendment so important? Like, why do you think the right to own a gun is like as important as free speech? I said, because it's literally right up there with the right to freedom of speech. That's number one. It's protected by number two. As far as the chalk writing, I don't know. It's silly. And if you're a grown adult who gets offended by someone putting something in chalk, you probably have no business being in the workforce or college.
Okay, moving on to our next question. If you'd like.
This session features 3 fearless voices: Christina Hoff Sommers, the factual feminist; Milo Yiannopoulos, the provocateur who thrived on exposing sacred cows; and Steven Crowder, the master of savage, no-holds-barred takedowns. Organized amid the height of campus hysteria over free speech, the event drew a crowd ready for fireworks, but nobody could have predicted how quickly a few self-righteous hecklers would hand the panelists the perfect setup for intellectual evisceration. But the atmosphere shifts the moment a heckler steps up, clearly itching for a gotcha moment about campus chalkings and hate.
Hey, so actually I was going to ask about chalk as well, because we just recently had an incident on this campus about a week and a half ago, where someone actually wrote "Stop Islam" on one of the buildings, like really big. They did like a detailed art piece for it. And so you, Milo, you said the best way to deal with people you don't agree with is to give them the full spotlight. And you, Christina, you said no intellect.
You can almost feel the room leaning in, sensing the inevitable collision. This isn't going to be a polite exchange of ideas. It's the spark that exposes just how fragile certain sacred narratives really are.
At an institution of higher education, and I'm sorry, you spoke so fast I couldn't quote you. But so my question for you is that, in light of Trump coming out and talking against Islam, rates of violence against Islam rising about 418% in this time period, higher than they were after 9/11, which is amazing. They're higher than after 9/11. We saw a lot of repercussions on this campus about a week ago, where some of my friends got beat up, where people got threatened over the Stop Islam. And so I'm wondering where you guys think that opinions turn into hate speech and where that line should be drawn.
Well, your Muslim friends got beaten up because of chalk?
Amazingly, one of my friends who's not even Muslim was defined as Muslim because he dressed a certain way, and he's changed the way he dresses now.
Well, listen, nobody would ever condone beating somebody up because they dress a certain way. By the way, sometimes when I say stuff, it's a joke, okay? We used to be able to make those. Listen, if people want to talk about stopping rape culture, in the time you just took to ask that question, there were probably a dozen women who were raped in the name of Islam in the Middle East right then. And there were tons of people killed. So listen, no one is condoning violence against Islam. Obviously it's a silly litmus test as far as Donald Trump saying ban all Muslims, and it makes it hard for people like me who argue against the ideology of Islam. I think if you want to learn about the ideology of Islam...
Stephen wasn't done speaking when he heard someone screaming from the floor. It turns out it's the first Muslim heckler.
Read 5 pages in any direction, and you will be... Yeah, we've had Muslims on my show many times. Guess what? I didn't like what they had to say. Okay? No, it's not my problem. It's my opinion. I don't like it. I didn't speak on your behalf. I talked about the Quran. Guess what? I wasn't there for the French Revolution. I can talk about it.
Everybody has a right.
The student launched into a rambling tale of Stop Islam, chalk art sparking violence, complete with claims of friends getting beaten and threats flying. It's the classic pivot: turn any criticism of Islam into immediate victimhood and rising Islamophobia. Watch how the panel stays composed while the questioner piles on stats about post-Trump spikes and incidents, higher than after September 11th, no less.
And let me
If
let
people
me
are
add.
beating up Muslims, that's bad. The ideology of Islam has been bad for the last several decades, and it's not hate speech to say so. It's not racist. It's an ideology in a prescribed form of religion and...
To be frank, the question wasn't a genuine one. It's a performative outrage designed to shut down fair play. It's typical. Ask a question that's just a sermon, then play victim when challenged. Crowders didn't fall for it. The room's tension is palpable. At this point, everyone's waiting for Milo Yiannopoulos to pounce, and he doesn't disappoint.
Like any other set of ideas, Islam is a set of ideas, and like any other set of ideas, we are perfectly entitled to interrogate it and find it wanting. I personally find it wanting. I would also like to say, as a gay person, I am fucking terrified by mass Muslim immigration because the homophobia in the Islamic community, in the Ummah, is not restricted to terrorists. It is not restricted to ISIS.
Milo jumps in headfirst with zero hesitation, refusing to entertain the false equivalence.
51% of British Muslims believe that gay sex should be against the law. This is not Muslims in Syria. This is not Muslims in Raqqa. This is Muslims who live 3 streets away from me. Every other one of them believes that my lifestyle should be illegal. 39% of British Muslims believe that a woman should always obey her husband. Where the fuck are feminists on that? 25%. 25% of British Muslims believe that Sharia law should be instituted, which under certain circumstances treats a woman's...
Milo, he's trying to narrow in on a question.
Well, I'm going to finish. Treats a woman's testimony as worth half of a man's. The Queers for Palestine, possibly the stupidest people to walk the face of the earth, overlook the statistic that 97% of Palestinians believe that homosexuality is an unacceptable lifestyle choice. I'm not scared by terrorists, I'm scared by Islam.
I must confess he is brutal, unapologetic, and leaves the students' logic tragically exposed. These activists love screaming about microaggressions but conveniently ignore macro realities like widespread support for Sharia or honor-based violence. Notice how the energy in the room changes gear. You can tell more fireworks are coming.
Moving on to our next question here.
When does free speech become hate speech is the basic question, right? Yeah, that's a silly question. Hate speech is a figment of your imagination. If someone says something you don't like, you don't get to label it hate speech. That's it. No, call to action is not allowed. If I say, hey, I'm going to punch you in the face, and I do it, that's not speech, that's an action. If someone says, gosh, I really don't like your face, and it would be nice if it were punched, but I would never do it, is very different. People should be able to say what they want. If you don't like it, walk out, change the channel. We don't believe in hate speech. We answered your question. Leave. Who was beat up because of what I said? Your friend was beat up because of something that I said? That's what we call being unable to substantiate an argument, Mr. Tank Top. Get out.
We have to move on to other questions. We'll take our
me,
next
right.
question here.
Shame on your delts. Put a shirt
Shame on your stylist, darling.
We'll take our next question right here.
All right, so
Please refrain from interruptions.
Get in line. They will answer your question.
all right, so I wanted to start off. All right, so
It seems these Muslim interrupters came to own the panel and left Ode instead. The tension keeps building as one more heckler wastes no time, accusing the panel of contributing to Islamophobia and violence. But first, here's an honest question for the panel, probably the only one they wouldn't have to shout down the answer.
for coming here and dealing with garbage like this and just like keep on stopping. All right, anyway. All right, so my question is, there's clearly a little bit part of the gender gap is because of the choices of the majors that people will go into. And I was wondering if you could choose one major to really tell people to steer away from so they can stop being this really ridiculous stat. Which one would you suggest to get rid of at a university?
Gender studies should be abolished in all publicly funded universities. students who go to study gender studies, particularly at federal-funded universities, come out dumber than when they went in. They come out believing lies. They come out with their critical faculties impaired, not improved. They come out more fragile than they arrived. They come out less able to have stable relationships with people, less able to cope in the world of work, less able to be functional, well-rounded human beings. Gender studies departments are damaging young people. They should be shut down.
Well, okay, yeah. I would just suggest that some of you will think that we're overstating our position, and I suggest you watch a weekly video blog that I have called The Factual Feminist. And each week I try to, using the best sources I can, to tell the truth on gender issues, to correct myths, to correct hyperbole, and to suggest that this particular philosophy is not only, not only in terms of the wage gap, not only does it misunderstand the wage gap, the typical teachings of gender study, and not only are you likely never to close the gap if you study something like that, but it's also, as Milo said, I see this very bitter, divisive, paranoid philosophy. It's ideology pretending to be scholarship. It's propaganda pretending to be fact. And
One thing about these Muslim guys is demanding tolerance while their ideology, per polls they ignore, offers none. Milo said it best when he mentioned he is terrified of mass Muslim immigration, using facts over feelings every time. That should be a concern.
history, and I urge some of the radicals in the room, because you're not always going to be radical. Some of you will change. Some of the best anti-Marxists were once Marxists, so I'm waiting for you to, emerge.
We'll take you in, don't worry.
We'll take you in. We're friendly. We're nice. We won't yell at you. But the thing is, a lot of you want to be, I see the passion, and I see the earnestness, and you're young, you want to change the world, you want to do it now, and you're on the right side of justice, and you think that, but here's the thing, if you're on the right side of justice, history suggests you need a good grasp of reality. If you've got moral energy, and you've got reality and truth, you will make progress. You'll be Martin Luther King, you'll be Gandhi, you'll be, the women's rights movement, they got the vote, and the second, but history also shows us a different kind of activism, where you have moral fervor and misinformation, moral fervor, propaganda. That is conducive to fanaticism. That is conducive to zealotry. And what I'm seeing on the campus and in this room tonight is the zealotry, the fanaticism, this eagerness to shut people down, this eagerness to silence, to censor. You've got to rethink it.
If you want to close the gender pay gap, women should start lining up for trade school to go roofing in Florida in the summer. They can't hire you fast enough. Problem solved.
I'd like to build on what Christina said. Most of the people causing trouble in this room are 20 years old? You don't know anything. You don't know anything. So I would encourage, and I don't mean that to be offensive, although, if you take it as that, I don't give a shit.
You see, ideas can and should be criticized without violence, and the West is where ideas live and get expressed freely. It's sad that the Muslims in the audience aren't seeing that. Meanwhile, as the audience keeps eating up Milo's words, and they are not aware he is just getting warmed up for the heavier hitters.
Why not try, you mentioned Socrates earlier, why not try one of the great virtues of the Greek philosophers, intellectual humility? Why not consider the possibility that somebody else might have something to add to your view of the world? Why not consider the possibility, the radical notion, that you could be wrong?
Moving on.
Okay, I was just wondering what you guys thought about the use of harsh rhetoric, like racist, homophobic, stuff like that, and how that can lead to almost justifying violence against certain people of certain beliefs.
Well, that absolutely happened this week at American University. The same kind of dumb horse shit. And on camera, I'm the less conciliatory member of the panel. It is dumb horse shit, and you should be ashamed of yourselves. But that, for the first time, I think, at one of my talks, somebody who just was walking through the crowd, here to see my talk was assaulted by a, of course, spoiled brat rich kid, social justice warrior, some preening little fag. It made me ashamed to suck dick, frankly. Who walked up behind him like the fucking coward he is, shoved him. This guy is like jacked as fuck, so he turns around and goes, "Bro, really?" And the little fag goes, "Ooh, never mind." And it was a comedic spectacle, but it was also a crime. And it was an example of zealotry that you're talking about spilling over into physical violence. And I will tell you something, you hear rubbish in the media about, violence and all this stuff at Trump rallies, the KKK, the Nazi outfits, every single fucking one of them is a hoax perpetrated by the left. You see stuff about violence, I'll tell you. The violence is coming not from the right, but from the left. And it is informed and justified in the minds of activists by this.
Thankfully, the panel was able to move past the noise to show how certain campus programs don't just waste time. They actually leave people less equipped for real life, more fragile, and quicker to shut down anything that challenges their bubble. It's the kind of education that turns out activists armed with slogans instead of critical thinking skills.
And it has just started to tip over in my tour, and I have to tell these kids they are going to destroy their lives if they believe that the kind of yelling and screaming that sometimes tips over into physical altercations, which does not come from Trump supporters, does not come from libertarians, does not come from conservatives, comes exclusively and only on campuses from the left. If you think this stuff is justified, you are going to destroy the rest of your life on the basis of an ideology that is not rooted in fact. I urge you to reconsider.
And I'd like to add one quick thing. Quick thing.
From here on out, though, let's keep it to one response.
Okay, sorry.
For each question.
It's a great example that Milo is drawing here, and he talked about people saying racist or homophobic things. Let me ask people in the audience, if you had the ability to travel back in time and stop someone like Hitler, right? Everyone here would do it, left or right. I'm giving, of course, everyone the benefit of the doubt. Why? Because he was racist. He wanted to execute gays. Well, Che Guevara as well, but you put him on a t-shirt. The point is, he was a person who everyone agrees is a vile, horrific human being. Listen, nobody here has espoused anything along those lines tonight. Not even close. But I tell you what, you want to talk about violence? If you call someone racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, call them a hate monger, and you make them out to be subhuman, it's okay to treat conservatives inhumanely. And that's your problem right there. You want to talk about who's treating who violently? When you paint someone as bad as Hitler fascist, well, guess what? You have what happened at Milo's tour. So maybe take a look in the mirror.
You can almost hear the collective "oh" in the room, as he points out the gap between feel-good ideology and actual consequences in the world. Those earlier Muslim hecklers, with their dramatic interruptions and victim cards, suddenly look even more ridiculous now.
Next question.
Hi. I have a two-part question. One part. UMass GOP, you might be able to speak to this. How long did it take to soak those chairs in the blood of Muslims and rape survivors? And how does it feel to be sitting on that bloody history?
We don't
Next question, thank you.
Yeah.
If you want to talk.
Q&A is not an opportunity for grandstanding. It's an opportunity for you to ask questions about what you've heard.
I think the questioner's a little confused. Next question.
Next question.
Hi, yeah, I wanted to ask if you guys were aware of the things that you said before about Islam, and I wonder if you guys are aware of how that contributes to acts of violence against Muslim people and Islamophobia, but you kind of already answered it, so let me just say, fuck Trump and Black Lives Matter.
And, sir, I have a question.
Change my worldview.
Are you concerned with the real rise of anti-Semitism on campus? And that at Columbia University, at Oberlin College, there are Jewish kids who are, there are threats now.
It's an amazing
to
loss
safety.
of perspective. You have these advocacy statistics about the supposed explosion of Islamophobia, which, basically always boils down to hijab pulling.
Long-lasting progress only comes from humility, engaging uncomfortable ideas, and choosing truth over comforting propaganda. The Muslim interrupter's whole approach, slogans, selective victimhood, and refusal to grapple honestly, ended up as the perfect blunder. When you prioritize ideology over reality, you don't win debates, you just expose the weakness of your position. The room felt sharper afterward, Like everyone walked away a little wiser about why shouting down questions never works. What did you enjoy most about their Muslim heckler takedowns? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching.